Hello, my friend. Here I am with Tyler, my 10-year-old son, and we are going to be making potato chip chicken strips, homemade chicken strips, right? I know chicken strips are a favorite, I'm going to tilt this a little bit, of a lot of kiddos. And we're gonna make them at home. And we're gonna use potato chip for the breading, if you will. This one is a super, super favorite, and we're glad to be here today to teach you. I do have a light now. It was a little dark when I was looking at a couple of the videos last week, so we got a light to kind of brighten things up in here, both what us when we're chatting, as well as our food when we're cooking. So I wanna hear from you. I've seen a lot of emails and a lot of messages with your pictures from your cooking lessons last week. I've been tagged in I don't know how many Facebook posts, which I love to see it. So thank you guys for sharing those. It just brings so much joy to my heart and to our hearts. And so please continue to share those, and please continue to share these lessons with your friends. I know last week a lot of people were just kind of on an extended spring break, or like schools hadn't really provided with your distance learning or your virtual learning. This week, I think most schools have kind of started to be like, okay, this is gonna be a while, so we're gonna give you schoolwork. So what did we do this morning?
Schoolwork.
We did our schoolwork this morning. So if you can't cook with us live, I know it was a little easier last week to cook live with us. These lessons are gonna be here. They're going to be on our blog. They're going to be here on the Facebook page. They're going to be on our YouTube channel. So you can go through them at any time. We also have on the blog, these are, let me see if I can get this right. There we go. We have shopping lists now for both week 1 and all the lessons from last week, and then week 2 lessons. And if you look close enough, guys, you'll see I already had a lot of these ingredients. Where you see the squares, those are the only ingredients I needed to get. So I know it's hard to find a lot of things at the store right now, especially meats. You might have to be strategic for getting these ingredients. Our friend Joyce Tyler is a big fan of the Buckeyes, right? Go Bucks. We have lots of family in Ohio and lots of fans of the Reds and the Bucks. So yay. Here's what we're learning today. Homemade chicken strips. We're gonna learn how to beat an egg. We're gonna learn how to bread chicken, and I'll talk to you about a couple of different coating options. We are using crushed potato chips. 1, because I think it's yummy, and 2, because I think it's fun for the kids to do this. You'll see Tyler's gonna demonstrate in a little bit. And then we're gonna learn how to bake the chicken strips. So that's what we're gonna be learning today. And before we jump in, my disclaimers, you guys have already heard this if you watched last week's lessons. Parents, I need you supervising your kiddos while they're doing this, especially if they're younger. We are dealing with raw chicken in today's lesson, and a hot oven. You need to supervise but not do the work for them unless they need some guidance, okay? And kiddos, you need to tell your parents to get out of the way. If they're trying to take over, you need to politely and respectfully say, get out of the way. Okay, nicely. You could say, Mom, I'm supposed to be learning how to do this. Let me do this, okay? Let them make a little bit of a mess. Let them make a smallish mistake. Obviously, if we're working, with something like raw meat, safety is, your top priority here, moms and dads, but also we're letting them learn how to do this. And so do your best to step out. I know a couple times last week, even during the live lessons, I was tempted to jump in. And I think the only time I actually did was to help Austin, my 7-year-old, cutting a knife. So those are my disclaimers. So should we jump in? Are you ready to show them what to do?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. We are going to start by turning on the oven to 350 degrees, okay? So I need you to turn on your oven. If you're cooking with me live, turn it on to, actually 400, I'm sorry. Rewind, turn it on to 400 degrees. Okay, so do you know how to do that? You touch, and every oven's a little different, but you touch bake. I'm going to talk Tyler through this. Bake, 400, and then start. Whatever buttons work on your oven, you want to turn it on to 400. The next thing we're going to do, it starts at 100 and it'll heat up to 400. The next thing we need to do is We don't want our chicken to stick to our pan, so whether you're using a glass baking dish or a metal baking dish, we need to spray it with some non-stick cooking spray. If you don't have that, sometimes if I've been out of this, you can just use a little oil on a napkin and just kind of lightly oil it. That would work as well. Perfect. So that is done and ready to go. It will take longer to cook, Ryan, if you do 350. It'll take longer. These will take about 10 minutes at 400, but it'll take longer. The next thing we need to do, this is the fun part. All right, we need to, I have an idea. Hang on, we need to fill that. With potato chips, and I'm gonna get my handy dandy bag holder to hold this open. I use these for freezer meals, but turns out it's gonna be real handy for this too. We have these available in our shop. Our store is open. We are an online store, so it is open. All right, you wanna pour this in there? Why don't we fill, this is a gallon-sized bag, why don't we fill this about half full? Half full, okay? Is that half full yet? I don't want this to overfill. That's probably good, huh? All right, so half full of your potato chips. All right, very good. These are very handy, and fun fact, they fold flat for easy storage. So if you want to grab some of these, we have those available in our shop. Yes, could you seal up that bag? We also need to get as much air out of that as possible so that we're not pounding on air.
It's gonna break if we do that.
Yeah, so we want to kind of push a little air out. Can you push some of the air out on top there? That's actually pretty good. I don't see a lot of air in there. So things that you could use for this. We have a mini rolling pin. You could use a larger rolling pin. We also have a measuring cup right here. That would work too. Anything. If you have a meat tenderizer, I don't see mine right here. I might have not moved it over here to the rental house.
This might work.
I don't think that's heavy enough. A meat tenderizer is kind of has a heavier mallet head. That could work. So Tyler is going to crush these potato chips. Why don't you go ahead and crush those, Bubba? Don't be afraid to get after it. Let me move these. We want the potato chips to be pretty small. Here, move it back a little away from all this stuff. Look at his face. He's like having the best time with this. He is. I wanted to show you his face because he's like all intent and having a big old time. All right. So this is also, if you're getting tired of being cooped up in your house, this is a little bit of a good frustration management activity. All right, see how there's, yeah, he's going. Now, this is pretty good, but why don't you go on a little bit of a hunt for some pieces that are too big, if you will. So go ahead and flip that around. Really get after pounding that guy. Okay. Watch your fingers. Oh, this is funny. All right, do we think that's good enough? Is that small enough? Maybe a couple right here. All right, that's good, that's good, that's good. Okay, so now what we need to do is we've basically just created our own breadcrumbs. You can use other ingredients like breadcrumbs or panko breadcrumbs to be your coating. But I like to do potato chips because They are nice and they give a nice crunch, and they have a good amount of salt in them, if you will. So I really like to use potato chips for my breading here. So what we're gonna do with these potato chips is put them into a shallow bowl, okay? So Tyler, go ahead and pour those into this shallow bowl. And the reason we're using a shallow bowl is because we're going to dip our chicken tenderloins in here. So that's perfect. Easy. Let's not do that. All right, let's save these guys. Can you save those guys? All right, we're gonna set this aside now. We've got our potato chips ready to go. Again, if you wanted to use something else, you'll probably need about 1.5 cups or so of breadcrumbs, panko breadcrumbs or regular breadcrumbs. Okay. The next thing that we're gonna do is make up the other dipping sauce. So our chicken, what we're gonna do is we're gonna dip it into a sour cream and egg mixture, then coat it with the potato chips, and then transfer it into the baking dish here. So let's mix up that sour cream combination next, and then we'll be ready to do all of the dipping. So what we need to do is mix together. I think we could even do it in this bowl. Let's do it in this bowl. The first thing we need to do is crack the egg into this bowl. Can you do that? You want to crack it on the countertop. You got it. Break it apart and then let the egg go into the bowl. If you get any shells in there, you can just fish those out with a fork. My favorite way to get a shell, there's not one in here, but I'll show you.
Oh, yeah, is that one?
No, that's part of the yolk. If you get a shell in here, what I like to do is take one of the fork prongs, press down on it, and then drag it up, and it'll come out real easily, okay? So, this egg, we're not beating this egg to aerate. Aerate is a fancy word for adding air into the eggs. When you're doing scrambled eggs, you want to beat them really well in kind of a circular format to put some air into the egg. But this egg, we're really just going to combine with the sour cream. So all we need to do is kind of stir it in a round circle, just to kind of break it up. All right, that looks really good. We're not trying to give it air, we're just trying to get it flat. All right, perfect. Hey guys, I'm glad you're joining. Okay, next we need to add the sour cream. Our friend Christina's here. She was here last week with her kiddos. All right, so now what we need to do is measure 1/2 cup of sour cream. So take the sour cream and add into the 1/2 cup. No. Use the spoon and spoon it into the measuring cup. Hey Victoria, can you clarify your question? It's a substitute suggestion for the sour cream egg mixture. You could do, oh, I'm sorry, I was reading it wrong. I'm glad I read it out loud. Okay, egg and milk would work. Egg and if you're looking for a dairy-free option, egg with rice milk would work. If you're looking for an eggless option, maybe just sour cream with the spices. The sour cream helps hold the potato chips in there a little better because it's thicker, and these potato chips are, you can see they're a little bit they're not quite as fine, if you will, as breadcrumbs are. Hey Jackson, our friend Jackson is here, and it looks like I think Brittany's here too. I'm so glad you guys are here, and I hope you're learning new fun things, and you can make these for your family. All right, so now what we need to do, we've measured out 1 cup. So now I need you to, this is, 1/2 cup of sour cream. Now I need you to transfer what's in here. You can use the spoon to do that into the bowl with the egg, okay? a little tricky to get that out. You might have to use a scraper, but just get out as much as you can. Yes, and a great suggestion. Greek yogurt is an easy substitute for sour cream, for sure. If you have that right now. I had to go to 2 stores yesterday to find all of these, and I was like, can I just bathe myself in sanitizer? So, yeah, if you have milk, egg and milk is perfect. Greek yogurt would work. Heavy cream would be great. I just like the flavor combination. I like the tanginess of, let me help you get a little bit more of this out. This is a good example, parents, of helping out and not getting in the way. This requires a little bit of extra dexterity. We'll use this whisk to get the rest of this off of here. Okay, now, that works too. Very carefully and slowly mix together the egg and the sour cream. Just go real slow.
I want to do it fast.
If you do it fast, it might fly out of that bowl because it's such a short bowl. Just do it. There we go. Okay, good medium speed right there.
That looks like.
Make it real smooth. Whisk it up until it's real smooth. All right, we are almost ready to start dipping, but not yet. We need to add a little bit more flavor to that sour cream.
Seasoning.
We are gonna add, Tyler knows. Hey Judah, I'm glad that you're here, buddy. We are going to add a little bit of paprika. I really like a little soft paprika flavor with this. A little bit of onion, and if you want a little garlic. I know garlic's not listed on the recipe, but I think we should add just a tiny bit. We do not need to add any salt to this because there's already enough salt in the potato chips here. Anna Marie, the recipe is linked here on the video. It's also right here. I happen to have it right here, so let me reply here. There is the recipe right here. Ranch flavored chips. Lindsay's using ranch flavored potato chips. I love that. We also like to dip this in ranch too, so you can get like a double ranch situation going on. All right, so now we're gonna learn, I didn't say this earlier, but we are gonna learn how to measure the spices. So we're gonna do a teaspoon of paprika. So in this case, you wanna open the paprika all the way. You're not gonna shake it and sprinkle it in, you wanna measure it. So go ahead and measure out a half a teaspoon. Here, let me show you. Perfect, okay guys, let me show Tyler how to do this and show you too.
No, I want to hold it.
I know. So I have this here, in this measuring cup, we are going to dip it right into the spice container, okay? So dip it into the spice container and then scoop out. We're kind of running low on paprika here, but I think you can scoop that out, can't you? Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead. Scoop out a half a teaspoon.
Where?
Right here.
Yeah.
No, in here. We're going to scoop out of the jar in this case because, perfect. Now add that to the sour cream. Perfect. Well, let's do the same thing with the onions. That's just for flavor, son. You're not going to taste the onions, I promise. It's just a good balancer.
I want that much.
He's like, I'm not doing a full half teaspoon. Let's do a little bit of garlic too. We're just adding garlic because we like garlic. It's not on the recipe and you don't have to, but if you have some, you can add a little bit of garlic powder. All right, now mix those guys in with your whisk.
Oh,
you're not even going to see that when it's done because it's basically going to be, the flavors are going to be hiding in, but the flavors are going to be so magical. It's a little bit, if you're making this at home, you'll see that your sour cream mixture now has a little bit of an orange tint to it. It's a little hard to see in the video because of the bright white light we have in here, but there's a nice orange tint to this. Okay, that is good to go. All right, you want to set the whisk into the sink? Perfect. So now we have our 2 dipping stations and we are ready to go. Yanira's here and her kiddos, Gigi and Ava, are watching too. I love this. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna set up a line, okay? And I would encourage you to do this as well. What we're gonna do is I have our chicken right here, and parents, you need to be supervising here. This is my friend Jocelyn's talking to you. She's like telling you to chill about the onions. She's a picky eater, but she's not as much of a picky eater now as she used to be, I think. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a little bit of a station setup. So we're gonna do each chicken tenderloin each piece is gonna be dipped both sides in the sour cream mixture, both sides in the potato chip, and directly into our greased pan. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. I prefer to use just my hands to do this. If you don't want to do that, you can use tongs. You can use tongs, but it's not gonna be coated quite as perfectly, if you will. So I think we can just use our hands, and again, this is raw meat, so you need to watch carefully. Don't touch any extra surfaces, and you need to wash your hands when you are finished. Well, we'll have to clean anything that touches the raw meat. Okay? Would you like me to demonstrate, or do you think you can do it? Oh, he's just going for it. Okay, coat it really well. Your fingers are gonna get messy. That's okay. Let it drip if you need to. Flip it. Flip it. Now, you cannot eat these potato chips. Now that you've put raw meat into this bowl, you cannot eat those potato chips. Parents, watch closely. One is done. Let's do the next one. Oops, just knocked him in the head. Let's do the next one. Chicken strips, so yummy. You've got your dipping stations. Okay, we're gonna need to get these guys pretty close together. So when you put the next one in, let's nestle those a little closer together. The camera, I think when we move underneath of it, it tries to refocus and it does a little bit of jumping. I'm sorry about that. Okay, can you slide those a little closer? We got to get those real cozy in there. We have I think we're gonna have 12 chicken strips going into this pan. If you need to use a second pan, you can, but we're gonna try and fit all 12 into this pan. I think we can do it.
That's a lot.
That's okay. You're doing a great job, sir. Yeah, get those all close together. If we need to do more chips, we can.
Yeah, we're gonna need some.
I think we'll be okay. If you start to see little ridges in your chips, just kind of spread it out again with a fork. Okay, remember these chips are all, be careful because there's been raw meat in that bowl now. Okay, next. All right, we got one tray done.
I don't think we're gonna fit them.
I think we can. We're gonna get them real cozy in there.
No, there's no way.
Oh, watch.
How?
Hey guys, I didn't see what was happening with the camera there. I apologize. Watch, I'll show you. Ooh, I just made a whole bunch of room. All right, we have the oven preheated. Yeah, see, we can fit 4 or 5 more in there. Okay. How did I do that? I just got them real cozy.
I'm done with my hands.
You're done with your hands? Okay. Now he wants to use the tongs.
Give me this.
It's gonna be a little, I think it's trickier to use the tongs. Watch, he's gonna prove me wrong. Hello, Jackson. Tyler, can you say hi to Jackson?
Hello, Jackson.
Oh, do you want to tell everybody what you did yesterday with your friends at school?
A Zoom meeting.
We had a virtual play date with friends from school yesterday on Zoom. We just had like a link that we sent out to in our grade group, and we had probably 8 or 9 friends join us. 10 friends, and then we're gonna have a scheduled one so people can plan around. Yesterday was very spur of the moment, and it was super fun, huh? I guess. At first they were kind of like, I don't really know what to say because we're doing this on a computer and we're not in classroom together. But they figured out real quickly what to check out. Valerie, preheat to 400. I'm sorry. That's my challenge with doing live videos like this, is that it's kind of like, okay, I'm in the middle of saying something and then I get distracted by a comment or watching him, making sure he's doing everything correctly. So yes, I will do a recap of the recipe here in a second as he's finishing up. All right, let's spread that chicken back around.
My hand is
like you did. You're doing a great job. We did lose a little bit of our potato chips. Usually what we had is enough. All right, let's see if we can fit this last guy in here. That's okay. I think that's probably enough. Here. All right, that'll be perfect.
My hand is so sore.
All right, recipe recap. Coming right up. All right, Tyler and I have been working on potato chip chicken.
Oh, my hand.
Okay, squeeze that in the corner. We have to make sure it's flat. It's gonna fit. Perfect. Look at that, guys. See, I knew it. All right, now, because this is raw meat, let's throw all this back into the sink, and then we'll do the recipe recap. Okay, Tyler's going to wash his hands real quick, and we're going to recap how to do this. Okay. We're going to do this for our recipe recap. Okay, you want to dry off your hands? All right, our oven is preheated. So, recap. We preheated our oven to 400 degrees first so that it would be ready to go by the time we were done making our pan. The next thing that we did is we crushed up about 3 cups or so of potato chips. It was about half of a gallon-sized bag, and we used a rolling pin to crush in the bag, to crush up the potato chips to get them finer. You can see though there's some larger pieces here, and that is a-okay. Then what we did is we mixed up the other dipping bowl, and then we poured those into the dipping bowl. The dipping bowl with potato chips, and then we mixed up the other dipping bowl with 1 egg, a half a cup of sour cream, a half a teaspoon of paprika, a half a teaspoon of onion powder, and we also added in a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. I know that's not listed in the recipe, but we added it anyways because yum. You don't need any salt because there's enough salt on the potato chips, okay? If you were using another breading, just like plain breadcrumbs or panko breadcrumbs, you would want to add probably a half a teaspoon of salt as well to either the breading or the sour cream mixture. Once we had those 2 dipping bowls ready to go, you saw Tyler take the chicken tenderloin, dip it into the sour cream mixture, dip it into the potato chips, and add it here to our baking dish. This is a 9x13 baking dish, and it holds, you can see there, the 12 chicken tenderloins. And what we're gonna do now is bake it at 400 degrees for 10 minutes or until the chicken is cooked through. You'll wanna check the fattest part of the chicken to make sure that it is cooked through. If you don't have chicken tenderloins, you could absolutely slice chicken breasts into the same sort of size, about 1 inch across and maybe 1/3 or half an inch thick. You can cut chicken breasts into these sort of tenderloin sizes to make strips that way as well. You might need to adjust your cooking time. If you're using chicken breast and it's sliced a little bit too thick, 10 minutes will probably not be quite long enough to cook that through. The key here is to make sure that the chicken is cooked all the way through when you're baking it, because you're baking it at 400. If you're doing chicken breasts at 400 that you've sliced, you might be looking at 12 to 15 minutes. So just make sure that you adjust your cooking time if you're using chicken breasts. But the tenderloins are so thin, they will cook through very quickly at 400 degrees. We usually just have this meal with some fruit or veggies, maybe some dinner rolls, and I highly recommend, this was all the ranch dressing that I could find at the store, which I typically don't buy these types of convenience things, but it was the only option. I got them for dipping. In this case, it is dipping sauce, so that works out. But I typically prefer to just use the salad dressing or even mix up my own with the powder, but there was literally none at the store. So this is what I would recommend dipping. It's just a really great combination with the potato chips. Beverly, to answer your question, absolutely. You would probably want to use about 1 to 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs. You could do panko, you could do regular unseasoned breadcrumbs, because you're adding the seasonings, the paprika and the onion and garlic, you're adding those to the sour cream, so you wouldn't need to use the seasoned breadcrumbs. If seasoned breadcrumbs is all that you have, go ahead and use those, but you'll need about 1.5 cups to, bread this much chicken. So, Tyler, are you ready to put this in the oven?
I don't know.
Let's do it. I know it's a little hard to see because, let me see if I can do this. There we go. No, they can see you.
No, I can't.
Yeah. Take this and put it in the oven.
No, I can't. Do we have gloves?
You don't need the oven mitts to put it in. You only need the oven mitts to take it out. Very good. He's just putting it on the top rack in the middle. Close it up. Set the timer for 10 minutes. So how to do that is you're going to start.
Wait, no.
Hit start. Yep.
No, I need another 0.
Nope, nope, nope. Now it's an hour.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to help you. Okay, we have to turn the baker back on. Hang on. We have to turn baker back on because we had to start the oven over. Okay, now hit kitchen timer. 10 minutes. Start. There we go. Okay, so now our timer is ready to go. We will check to make sure that with one of the thicker pieces that it is cooked all the way through. We set our timer for 10 minutes. So that is potato chip chicken tenders. That's what we're going to be having for lunch today. You might be having this for dinner if you're making this later. Please send us your photos. We absolutely love seeing them. You can reply to any of our emails. You can drop them here on the video. You can message our Facebook page. We don't care how you send it. We just want to see them. So please do that. Share this with your friends as well. It's a great activity to, pass the time, learn some important life cooking skills, have some fun with your kid. Do you like doing these with me?
Yeah.
They're pretty fun, huh? Yeah. Even the teenager last week got really into it, and they were like fighting over recipes that they were going to work with me. So I think on Friday we're going to have 2 of you in here. I think that's what we're going to do. You're going to be in here Friday, right?
Yeah.
With Ryan, I think.
No.
So tomorrow we are making homemade mac and cheese from scratch, not out of the box. We're doing that tomorrow. We're going to we talked a lot about cheese flavor combinations when we did the grilled cheese. We're going to talk about that for mac and cheese. You guys, the possibilities are seemingly endless. We're going to be making that tomorrow. So join us again live at noon Central Time again tomorrow for our homemade mac and cheese lesson. All these yummy kid favorites, you guys. I love doing these with you, and I can't wait to see you again tomorrow afternoon.